Hello, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your Manchester United transfer news daily where we talk about all the latest Manchester United transfer news and give it that real fan opinion. We'll also have the Eric Bailly player of the day, the player that nobody probably thinks we're going to sign, the left field signing. Got a good one today and funnily enough he plays on the left wing. But let's start off with it. Zlatan Ibrahimovic halts Antoine Griezmann deal to Manchester United. Now, it's not as sinister as some people are reporting. It's not Zlatan Ibrahimovic threatening Griezmann. You're not allowed to come and take my number 9 shirt. You're not coming to Manchester United. It is far from that. As far as we know, Zlatan's career at Manchester United is probably finished. He's not going to be back fit until at least Christmas, and the train from the station of Zlatan at Manchester United will probably have left by then because we need to get somebody in the summer. Antoine Griezmann, for me, is not a replacement for Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He's a replacement for Wayne Rooney, the person who can play behind the number 9 in that attacking position and give us some real clinical finishing. But the reason Zlatan could well be halting the deal for Griezmann or causing Manchester United a headache is because of the figures in relation to Zlatan's salary that were released last week, around £360,000 a week. United have shown their hand at a time when they really wouldn't want to be showing their hand to potential suitors who want to come to their club and their greedy agents. So Antoine Griezmann could well be demanding in excess of £300,000 to come and play for Manchester United per week. A fee that even United will realistically not be happy with. Remember, we didn't play for Zlatan in any transfer fee, so we could make that up and make it a very lucrative offer, should I say, for Zlatan to come to Manchester United, even though I think £360,000 a week is ridiculous. For Zlatan, as good as he was, I don't think that was ever a realistic wage, and it's one that could come back to bite us this summer. Now it's public knowledge, and maybe Griezmann will be wanting in excess of £300,000. Remember, we've got to pay at least £89 million to get him anyway, because that's his breakout clause. So keep an eye on that. And I think also as well, before we start worrying about how much we're going to pay Griezmann, I think we've got to win that certain game against Ajax in a week and a half's time. Champions League football, I think, is essential if we want to sign Antoine Griezmann. The next one on the list, and I move on to Lindelof, Victor Lindelof of Benfica, with some trepidation, because for those who've been watching the United Stand long enough, you'll know I did utter the words "done deal" in late December in relation to Lindelof. But there may well be an angle, as I've been saying for a couple of weeks, where I can sort of rescue myself and start to believe the person who told me that again, who, to be fair, has been quite good in the past, but they were very wrong about Lindelof, and it wasn't a done deal in January. But what we suspect may be the case. I mean, this is very left field. I think it was in the Daily Star that Lindelof has agreed personal terms to Manchester United, and certainly from the digging I've done, that doesn't appear to be the case. But what a lot has been said over the last few weeks about Lindelof to United is that there was a deal there done in January, but it was scuppered by the fact that there is a part ownership of Lindelof, or a deal or a percentage that his previous club gets, that then sort of manipulated the situation that United had to pay more than they wanted to. So it's suspected that the Lindelof deal is a done deal that will happen in the summer and couldn't be ironed out in January. So there may be some truth to what I was told back in December. Would Lindelof fit Manchester United? Look, he's 22 years of age, he's 6'2", he's combative, he's a good centre-back, he can play right-back as well. Can he transform that from the Portuguese league to the Premier League? Well, there's plenty of evidence of that being done before. Remember Carvalho, also a Portuguese signing of Mourinho's at Chelsea. He was formerly a Portuguese defender. He's still Portuguese, but he played in the Portuguese league. So it can be done. There's more examples than that, but he comes to mind off the top of my head. We need to sign a centre-back. I don't think Lindelof would be a bad signing at all. In fact, he got the recommendation of Zlatan. So we need a new centre-back. We know we do. Bailly's very good. Rojo's good, but he's injured. Blind's been a decent backup, but Jones and Smalling are the Chuckle brothers, and we need better players than that if we want to progress next season. So one to keep an eye on. Goalkeeper, as I've said to you, sadly David De Gea will be leaving Manchester United this summer. How we replace him, I think, is very, very important. I don't think you can risk Romero. I know we're going to risk him in the Europa League final. I find that absolutely amazing that we would ignore one of the world's best goalkeepers to do that out of sentimentality. But over a 38-game season, a player that can't catch and punches crosses is going to cost you. So I don't want Romero to be our number 1 next season at all. He's a good goalkeeper. He's a great backup. But as a first-team keeper, I'd have my concerns. Oblak is a keeper that we're interested in, but Atletico Madrid have been very, very insistent that he has an £80 million buyout clause, and if you want him, you'll have to pay it. As much as I like Oblak, I think we should be going for somebody else. £80 million for a goalkeeper is excessive. There's no guarantees with Oblak. He's a very good goalkeeper, but is he worth £80 million when we're not even going to get that for De Gea? No, I don't think so. I'd much rather we were going for Donnarumma or looked elsewhere, to be honest. Although Oblak is my #1 choice, I don't want us to pay £80 million. It's a lot of money to pay for a goalkeeper. Rodriguez is a player I touched on a couple of times last week. Obviously, we did the video on him on Saturday. James Rodriguez, Real Madrid. He has come out and said he's loved his time at Real Madrid, but he already knows where he'll be playing next season. You couple that into Colombian radio on Friday night, saying that a verbal agreement has been done with Manchester United and Rodriguez. We know he's got the same agent as Jose Mourinho. We know that Manchester United is a club that Rodriguez would like to come and sign. The only fly in the ointment is I just don't know whether he fits in at Manchester United, but it's looking more and more likely that that deal will happen. So whether you want Rodriguez or not, I must admit, even myself, I'm starting to think that that deal is going to happen for Manchester United now. And to be honest, it's the sort of signing we can do without Champions League football. So maybe that's where it's all coming from. I prefer we were getting better. I hope it's nothing to do with the Griezmann deal, because I want Griezmann at Manchester United, but Rodriguez is looking more and more likely. Okay, the Eric Bailly signing of the season, the signing that maybe people aren't really thinking about. We talked about last week, didn't I? Talk about on Saturday the left back at Valencia, Gaya. We talked about Bruma, the winger over at Galatasaray, who I like quite a lot. We're talking about another winger today. I think Manchester United desperately need to get some width in their side. Lingard's not good enough. Martial has issues with Mourinho, even though I think he's a fantastic left winger. And away from that, who've we really got? Yeah, we've got people like Mata who can play out wide, but we need genuine pace and genuine skill. That's what Manchester United need to do this summer. Hirving Lozano is my choice. He's playing in Mexico. I really like the look of him. I think he'd be perfect for us. I mean, there's no guarantees he'd be good enough for us, but I think he's as good as anybody. But the one I want to talk to you about today is Yacine Brahimi, I think is how you announce it. French-Algerian, playing currently for Porto. Very, very skillful, very, very fast. He's exciting, but is he the sort of player that Manchester United would want? Playing in the Portuguese league, we know Mourinho knows a lot about that. 27 years of age. He's no spring chicken. He's in his prime years. And there is, there's a negative side to this. He's only started about 15, 14 games for Porto this season. So, you know, he's not necessarily a first-team player for Porto. He's got a £50 million buyout clause, as most Portuguese clubs do. They do inflict them on them, which make them cumbersome, to say the least, when it comes to signing them. His final ball's not fantastic. He doesn't score a lot of goals, and his work rate isn't fantastic either. So if I'm going to give, again, I don't think we're going to do this, but it is somebody that has sort of been tentatively linked with us. Bit of a left field signing, left winger, funnily enough. But I just don't think it fits in with Jose Mourinho. 5'11", so he's quite tall for a wide man. But when we've been talking about people like Bruma, who I think is a better signing and younger at Galatasaray, like I say, Perisic at Inter Milan, around the same age as Brahimi, but also been playing in a better league, hard-working, better skillful, better stats, better background in relation to what he's achieved. I think he's more likely, probably costs a little bit more money. But having said that, Brahimi's got that big buyout clause as well. So, not for me. I think it's too much of a risk. But again, I think the great thing about Mourinho is when he comes to his signings, if he thinks that they are right and suitable for Manchester United, then 9 times out of 10 he's probably right, and he always feels that he can get the best out of players. And as was said over the weekend, I think it was by an ex-player who played for him at Chelsea. I don't know whether it was Wayne Bridge or somebody. They said, look, Mourinho only criticises players that he actually cares about, that he wants to get more of. Which I think, you know, when we've been quite negative about why Martial, Mkhitaryan, Luke Shaw over the season have been publicly sort of outed by Mourinho, and people like Lingard, Fellaini, Phil Jones, you know, people who've, you know, they've had bad performances, but they seem to keep getting picked. Maybe that's a positive spin for people like Martial, that Mourinho is publicly sort of outing them, but he's doing it because he actually cares and he wants to get the best out of them. I don't want to see Anthony Martial leaving Manchester United. I think people are sort of predicting that's going to happen, but I can't see it happening. I think at worst he'd go on loan, but you saw what he did to Spurs. He goes out to the left-hand side as the fullback on toast and sets Rooney up for the goal. I think Martial is a fantastic left-sided player, and that's where he should be. I've got no doubt he can play up front. I've got no doubt he wants to play up front. But why rush? Why rush? Thierry Henry was a fantastic striker, but he played on the wing until he was about 23. Martial's got 2 years on that. That's where Martial should be playing. Martial as a left winger is better than a forward at the moment, and I think we can get a lot more out of him next season with a proper pre-season and a proper understanding of what's going on between the player and the manager. So I don't think Martial will go this summer. I don't want him to go. He's one of my favourite players at Manchester United, and I think we've got to get realistic about what this summer's going to hold. I think there are going to be players coming through the door, and that's dependent on whether we get the Europa League or the Champions League. But people going out the door, it's ridiculous to predict that we're going to let 6 or 7 go. De Gea and Rooney are definitely going. Zlatan's probably more than likely going. You've then got people like Januzaj. We can't afford to have someone like that in the squad. He's not set the world on fire at Dortmund or Middlesbrough, so he needs to go. Jones or Smalling or both, they're potentially going to go. There's talk of Darmian going, and already you'll be on 5. And I'll be amazed if more than 5 people leave Manchester United this summer. So I think Martial's safe, and I hope that he can get his head down like he has been recently and force his way into the first team plans, because I still think we've got on our hands one of the best young players in world football, and that's the future for Martial, hopefully in a Manchester United shirt. Please do drop a like on the video. We're doing this daily at 7 AM. We've been doing it for 2 weeks now. Really enjoying reading your comments about what you think. The Griezmann deal, is he worth over £300,000 a week? Could that cause an issue? James Rodriguez already stating he knows where he's going. Is that Manchester United? Is 80 million too much for Oblak? Where else should we be looking as a replacement for De Gea? And Lindelof, is he the sort of centre-back that we should be signing? Brahimi, give us your thoughts if you know anything about him. For me, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right. We need somebody better than that. But give us your comments below. Back tonight at 8:30, Skype Goldbridge. Fantastic last week. Make sure you join us and have your say. Skype in. Skype Goldbridge is the username, all one word. And if you didn't see last night's show on the Sunday show, or you want something to listen to on your way to work, at work or whatever, it was an hour show. The second half of the show was talking about what the lineup against Ajax should be and Ajax's strengths and weaknesses. First half, Premier League top 4. How have Manchester United not finished in the top 4? Thanks everyone for watching. Give that a watch and join us tonight at 8:30 for Skype Goldbridge. Thanks for watching.